This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah, good evening all. Hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Satish Mahajan. I think today we are going to have some very interesting topic, which is very close to heart of most of us. That the name of the topic is passwordless login. Correct? What do you mean by? I think today, if I log in, I have a bank account password, I have login password, I have application password, so many passwords. And then I think organization looking at the security threat, they have made it still complicated, saying that you have to make the password complex. Now the issue is, how can we remember these passwords, right? Then when we have to remember this password, either you have to note it, but information security says never note the password. So how to remember them? Okay, so we have two, what we can say, experts in the industry, Manoj and Ajit. Ajit is the founder of Pure ID. Okay, Manoj is part of, I think, Shop. What is the name exactly?
ShipRocket.
ShipRocket. Okay, ShipRocket, who are going to help us to make it understand how can you log in without password, right? No password login, correct? Just thanks to Divyang and Shashank, who have helped us to get Manoj on the board, and also thanks to all the core members of the team who have helped us to organize this event. Okay, and I'll hand over to Harsh to take it ahead as a moderator.
Thank you so much, Satish. And yeah, very interesting context setting by you. But just to confirm, since we are always virtual, I hope I am totally visible as well as the screen is visible. My presentation is on.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So once again, a warm welcome to everyone. And I will definitely come back to you. But before that, thank you so much, Satish, for the wonderful context setting. He is equal pioneer in every aspect of CyberGurukul. And of course, let's not miss out the core members. Shashank, who has helped us bring Manoj on board, Vijaya, who's the co-founder, and Jagdishwaran, Anil, and a couple of other core members. Please do say a hi, Srinivasan, if you have also joined us today. And at the same time, let me also take the privilege to thank the extended family like Divyang, who has actually helped us bring Ajit on board. So very interesting session we are going to have today, and as we are entering the new era of digital identity with passwordless authentication. But before going into that, like every time, we will now have this beautiful opportunity to introduce CyberGurukul for some of us and reintroduce for many of us. But this time, let's have a change. Instead of me, initiating it, why don't I have the core members introducing CyberGurukul? So Vijay, why don't we start with you? What is CyberGurukul for you? Let's take few seconds here.
Yeah, so as Harsh said, thank you, Harsh. I'm Vidyanand, and CyberGurukul, in our words, we take it CGs. So we all are CGs, and we are association of like-minded people. We are very diverse in the background from where we are coming, but our goal is remain common, and by month on month, and now we have a strong set of people who have common goal to give it back to society. So we try whatever we learn, we share the knowledge and associate with new set of people, and using the common goal, CyberGurukul platform, that we should be bringing a unique solution in cybersecurity. So that's we are here today also, is an interesting topic, and we are looking forward.
Thank you so much, Vijay. Do we have Shashank and Jagdishwaran currently? I think they were also really interested in doing this. Okay, no worries.
So you have to take the lead, Harsh.
Definitely. Satish, would you like to add something more before I take the lead?
I think CyberGurukul is what I will say is a learning opportunity again. I always call myself as a student. So every time we interact with the people, so Vijay already said that like-minded. So like-mind only comes when everybody wants to learn something new and give it back to society. So the thought of the team is giving back to society, which we have learned during this last few years of experience, plus learning from the eminent speakers and technical team who comes on the board here.
Very much, Satish. I think that's how we have this belief, or we are themed as together we want to enable, engage, and empower, because Cyber Gurukul is more like a community. It's more like that emotion plus an idea which knits us together. And there is a part of Cyber Gurukul in each one of us. That is what I proudly reiterate each and every time. And like both my friends out here, Vijay and Satish mentioned, by bringing the veterans, to this forum, we do aim to become the cybersecurity consultants and storytellers for ourselves and as well as for the community at large. And we will, keep doing this time by breaking the ice with a technology like passwordless authentication. And before doing that, of course, sincere gratitude, thanks to all the Cyber Gurukul core members as well as the extended family. It's with you that we have, started growing so fast. We had a couple of, achievements to us in that way. And yes, coming every third Saturday for these sessions, I do realize you have to really take out time from your family time. So thank you so much for doing that as well. And let me also now take the privilege to warmly welcome and introduce our esteemed speakers and thought leaders, Ajit and Manoj. And, at least share the dais with them so that they can also say a few words. So Ajit, why don't I start with you? Firstly, again, welcome to Cyber Gurukul.
Hey, thank you, Harsh. Thank you all for being here. And thank you, CyberGurukul, for inviting me. And thanks, Divyang, for referring to such a wonderful forum. I wasn't even aware of this. So thanks for bringing me here. And I look forward to have a great time here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajit. We are equally excited and looking forward to all the insights that you're going to share with us today. Thank you so much for, gracing our platform and joining us today. And Manoj, we are equally keen to also leverage your expertise and your analogies today. So why don't I also hear a few words from you before going ahead?
Sure. Thank you so much, Harsh. And in fact, thank you so much to the entire Cyber Gurukul community, and special thanks to Sashank for, first of all, bringing me to my knowledge that there is such a great initiative happening wherein we all are coming together to kind of give something back to our society. And definitely, I'm really excited to kind of have a amazing audience here and kind of hear their views on this. Definitely, this topic, passwordless authentication, is really the need of an hour. I would say is the direction for all of us. And as Satish mentioned in the beginning, password is not only limited to enterprise or let's say the corporates. We as a personal users also, the more we are digitizing ourselves around mobile phone, tablets, connected cars and everything, password is now part of integral life of each one of us. And I guess that's with that, I mean, I'll give it back to Harsh, and I'm really keen and excited to kind of be part of this great initiative. Thank you, Harsh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Manoj. And yes, you have quite hit the the nail, I must say, because passwords actually have been, integral part of the digital networks and our lives. So yes, totally agreed with that. But yes, what are we exactly entering into is a different question altogether, and we will be deep diving into that today. But before that, and by the way, yes, Manoj, we are equally geared up for this session. So thank you so much. The excitement that both our speakers have is definitely getting viral to all of us here, hopefully. And yes, before moving forward, before actually entering this era of the end of passwords or the passwordless, kind of this phenomenon that we are seeing, we actually, like every time, will take few seconds or few minutes to set the context and enter into what's the story around us. And this time, I would apologize that our little Mir, which always is the brand ambassador over here, is on a vacation. So this time we have two different ambassadors who will be starting the story for us. So without further delay, let me get into that. And do share if you're not able to hear it.
Yo, man.
Hello?
Can you help me, man?
Sure. How can I help you?
My account just got wiped. You must be joking.
I don't know how I let this happen.
By who?
Some guy pretending to be you know? Man, I don't know what to do.
It wasn't me.
Alright, a fellow email me, dear customer, there seems to be a payment issue. You need to send us your account number and we'll resolve it for you. How could I be so clumsy and click on the dubious link? All this time he was after my password and username.
Or can you grant us later access to your data? Hackers and a frost is always lying in the waiter. You better watch your back, don't fall for the beta. Let's review the situation that you're caught up in. To be a safe player, you have to know how to play. If you say a moment, don't give him time of day. Never listen to a word when they say. And if they claim that they're the bank, tell them no way.
But he sent me a reminder.
It wasn't me.
Messaged me on WhatsApp.
It wasn't me.
He even called me in the shower.
It wasn't me.
He told me I won the lottery.
It wasn't me.
He asked me for my password.
It wasn't me.
To verify my account number.
It wasn't me.
I even sent him a picture.
It wasn't me.
He dreamed my account and it was over. A fellow emailed me, dear customer, there seems to be a payment issue. You need to send us your account number and we'll resolve it for you. How could I be so clumsy and click on the dubious link? All this time he was after my password and username.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
So I hope, we all could really enjoy a little on this. Every time, not every time, but whenever I, listen to this one, I really have to remind myself that, for example, now I'm in a CyberGurukul session, so I cannot really, dance to the tunes. But yeah, it sometimes get a little difficult to come back. But there's a lot of, more interesting discussions that are going to happen, including the very much it wasn't me that we have just seen in the scene. So before moving forward, I think Manoj and Ajit, I could see a lot of smiling face from your side and from the other members also. Why don't I, hear a few things from your side before continuing?
If I will take it
Please
first,
do that.
okay, and then definitely others should.
Please.
So if it is isn't me, then who is he? Okay, and there are so many. Wasn't he me? So these are the bad actors all around us. We are exposed. We are secured with multi-factors, and banks are putting onus on us to safeguard our money, which is there with banks. We are digital, but we have to be very, very careful. I guess that is the message. And we have to be careful with the person who is not he or me. So
Please, Vijay. Continue.
yeah, that is my thought. That is a good, very clear message that we have to be aware of ourselves.
Very much, Vijaya, your message is also extremely clear, and we will be discussing today how we can actually reduce this, it wasn't me instances. And like you mentioned about the bad actors, of course, it has going to be the partnership of an enterprise, user, stakeholder. It's a partnership of all of us, just like we are here at CyberGurukul today. So thank you so much for that, Vijaya. Would our speakers also like to add something? And this is going to be also open for the other members over here who would like to share their interpretation. Yes, Manoj, Ajit, anything you would like to add on before we continue?
Sure. Definitely, I want to kind of add a few things to add a bit of seriousness toward this topic and the sense of responsibility in our day-to-day life, right? I'll just give a few numbers that how this entire attack surface has changed in last couple of years, right? Since pandemic, there is a surge in internet uses. And anyone want to take a guess that how much the internet users has increased globally in the pandemic?
I think I had read somewhere that currently 75% of the people are now, kind of knitted with digitization, and next few years it's also going to become 90%, and it's some 6-7 million. I don't recall that, but yeah, you may be a better judge.
I mean, you're almost there. In terms of search, I'll talk about there is a 82% increase in the internet footprint since 2020 to now. That means attacker has now more, I would say, space to play around, and they just need one, right? 75% of video uses, it can be OTT, it can be YouTube, can be any streaming platform. It has increased by 75%, right? We all would have read recently in news that there was a movie, very sensitive movie, link was circulating and people were victimized by clicking on that thinking that is a movie download link, but they end up either sharing their OTP or the password, right? That's how even the video platform is now being used as a medium or a channel to kind of victimize people, right? Similarly, you see payment. We all have moved on digital payment, big time. So use of internet is almost everywhere, and wherever there is internet, there is a username, there is a password coming into picture.
Very true. And I think digitization, like you said, has definitely promoted inclusiveness, but then there's a bane to it also with the exponential hike in the digital attack surface. And I think you gave some very good examples around that, which was very much similar to what this musical story that we just saw. Ajit, you would like to add something before we move on?
This clip I haven't seen. Is it your work? Because the music is Western, but the actors are pretty Indian. So
this is actually I had searched it in between. It's one kind of this security awareness kind of a video by Dubai Police Headquarters. I can definitely share the link later to everyone. Definitely not a challenge. So this is very much there in the YouTube as well.
I appreciate the efforts they have taken to make this video, and it really drives the point home that yes, you should be aware whenever you are sharing the sensitive information. Okay, and yeah, you could be easily tricked, pressurized to give away your sensitive information. Yes, so I love this entire video. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajit. And yes, talking about the sensitive information, the maybe PII, that is also something we will be covering today. And definitely, we are very keen to very quickly, get into this kind of a deep dive discussion. But before that, let's also discuss on what exactly are we going to do today. And today, if you take it from what we just saw in the video, we do see this a lot today, right? Some guy pretending to be you. And this is a journey that I'm sure we will come to Manoj and understand the CISO side as well in a few minutes. Do we not trust our employees? No, it's actually about not trusting the security posture or the digital footprint of our employees. So how do we tackle something like this? How, dear customer, there seems to be a payment issue, which I think Manoj very well with a couple of examples, kind of explained us that how the digitization footprint with that there is a spike in the digital attack surface as well. And these kind of scenarios is something which we are constantly bombarded with, right? And at the same time, has password become the biggest vulnerability today? Because 81% of the passwords, because of these passwords or these weak credentials that we have, the breaches are happening. I think this is something which each one of us have aware. Couple of studies has been done over here. So even in that video, we could hear all this time that bad actor, which Vijaya also mentioned, he was after my password and username, which Ajit also mentioned in terms of the sensitive information, right? So we will definitely be discussing that. The two reservations, honestly, that I have from that video is that to be a safe player, you need to know how to play. Honestly, like, we shared in between, it is going to be a partnership of user awareness, but then the technology will also have to play more role, especially today in simplifying the user experience. And that's one of the big reasons why I'm really excited about understanding passwordless authentication and get into the action as well. And finally, meet the objective and reduce the instances of it wasn't me. So friends, in just few minutes, we will be getting into deep dive, understanding about the passwords and its relation to the vulnerability, understanding that, with passwords, I think a lot of us will resonate, either, I feel as a user that these passwords are designed to keep me out of the system, or like Vijaya had mentioned once, that the system itself will hang me. So, ये जो 36 का आंकड़ा है, don't mind I use some Hindi words here, but the passwords and user friction, how can we change this story? Maybe, of course, with the end of this, password era, maybe a solution to it. And then in that case, how can it become that foundation of the zero trust? How will it actually help us address the data privacy issue? And finally, this time we're going to have a little, difference here. We're actually going to have a live experience and demo of the passwordless authentication as a technology. So friends, I would request all of you to definitely come up with all your use cases and queries in the second half of the session. And now, without further delay, it's finally time to break the ice and help, the story that needs to change. But yeah, before that, Manoj, let me come back to you over here. Before changing the story, what do you think from a CISO's eyes and a shoe? What has been the story in this last few years, which you already started sharing with us? Please, over to you.
Sure. I think from a head of infosec perspective, or anyone who manages security for an organization, there has been a significant shift in the way we have been operating and the way now we are operating in last 2 years. Earlier, it was, I would say, relatively much easier because we all were going into office premises. We were working from a closed network. It was a managed, it was a monitored, and it was a much controlled environment. We were knowing that what traffic is coming to my servers because I was knowing these are my internal IP ranges. But in last 2 years, we had to support our business, and all thanks to COVID pandemic, we all started working from remote. Now that has triggered one thing, that we are not able to differentiate at IP address level, saying this IP or this hit coming to my portal is a legit one or is a attacker's IP, right? Because that has triggered a lot of, I would say, challenges for us, to protect our environment, because we had to now expose almost everything to internet. We cannot keep it like few things can only be accessed via intranet, which was much easier in the earlier days. Now it has changed. We have to open our boundaries. We have to expose our data on the internet. Everything is now internet. And at the same time, we need to ensure that the access is only being given to the right users, that to with the right intent. That is the first biggest change. Second, from a cultural or the operating model perspective, you imagine in previous days, we all used to work from one office. We used to have our colleague sitting to us. In case I'm getting a mail or I'm getting something which is suspicious, it was easy for me to just turn down and ask, hey, I have received this. Have you also received this? And they used to discuss, and when two brain comes together, they used to think in multi-direction. But now what is happening, I'm working from my home, I am alone. I max may ping a colleague of mine saying, hey, I have received an email saying, click here to reset your password. Shall I go ahead and do it? It may be possible that I may get a response. It may be possible I may not. And in the panic of the hour saying, oh, it's saying 30 minutes and my credentials will be blocked, I may click on that, right? So that has restricted. Earlier, we used to brainstorm about things. Now we just have single mind to think about something, that whether this is legit, not legit, karna hai, nahi karna kind of stuff, right? That is from an operating model perspective. Now coming to the third thing, which is the attacker's surface. Attackers have now a bigger play, They can send a phishing email. They can very well try to kind of do a reconnaissance, because everything is on internet. And it is easier for us to differentiate that which is legit, which is not legit, right? So because of all these challenges or the change in the operating model, it has become much more complicated for us to make sure that how we can keep a right balance between security and the business. We cannot restrict it too much. At the same time, we cannot allow it too much. So that this is at a high level has brought a lot of changes at a people, process and technology level. Similarly, when we have to enforce something or when we have to, let's say, kind of implement something, it is becoming challenging because it was easier to kind of do let's say, a session with the people when they are in one room, show them a demo, how to operate, what to operate. Further, again, similar thing, they used to discuss with their colleagues saying, okay, this session told us to do this, ABC, best practices, but now everything is done remote. it is very difficult to kind of understand that how much of the security concept has been inculcated by the individuals, right? So that is the second challenge from a user awareness perspective. Coming to the operating model, that has led us to change a lot of our policies as well. Think of a BPO. It was operating in a very, very controlled environment. CCTV camera is there. We are not allowing mobile phones, and now call centers is operating from all over the place. Think of it. They deal with our credit card details. They deal with our, let's say, monthly balances. We often get a call saying your balance is due for so and so date. This is the amount due. When are you going to pay? Right. So they have all the information. That means information is flowing all over. And now how to control, how to make sure that people use that information in the right intent has kind of blurred all possible boundaries from a security perspective. And again, to keep it a right balance, there has been a significant change in the way our technology landscape was in the past. And there is a significant shift in the newer technologies adoption to make sure that we have the right balance of, I would say, security, as well as giving the access or making sure that business has been supported in all possible ways.
I think very well put, Manoj. Yes, today there has been, especially this pre to post, or I don't know if we are in the post-pandemic era now, but definitely work from office to this work from home and work from anywhere culture, with this remote and distributed workforce. It has brought a couple of cultural changes. If we say today is a time where, if attack definitely does not happen in silos, but maybe we are living in a little siloed environment. And because of that, the awareness, the best practices on implementation, and those pieces around people process technology, it has definitely become much more complicated that way. So Ajit, let me come to you. Let's directly get to the question, get to the nail. How can passwordless authentication actually address such a critical issue of work from home, of balancing the user security, productivity, and kind of those elements? And do you resonate that we are in somewhat an end of the password era and entering into the passwordless?
So Harsh, yes, let's get into the topic. Okay, passwords. Yeah, we all hate it. Let's agree to that. Okay, and when you are working remotely, and if you are accessing your enterprise network through VPN, and if you forget to renew your credentials, so because of compliance, we have to expire your credentials, right? We have to regularly force you to change the credentials. So if you are not able to renew your credentials in time, your credentials are expired, then you cannot connect over the VPN to the official network. And if you cannot connect to official network, you cannot reset your credentials, right? So you're locked out of your system, of your enterprise network. Then you have to physically go to the office, or you have to call support desk, right? So I'm sure company have seen a lot of support call going up just to help people reset their credentials. Okay, this is also a business as usual, but in the pandemic time, the volume was like 3 to 5 times more than what we could have normally seen, right? That is one. And as Manoj said, a lot of social engineering attacks happen, not only on common users, but also on high privileged users or administrators, right? And they might give away the credentials, right? Because yes, you cannot have the confirmation or validation about the mail and the action that you want to take. Just people want to favor quick actions over than confirming the things. People do give out their credentials, so that is a challenge. Okay, and so that this pandemic has given more push to the passwordless authentication. Otherwise, passwordless authentication has been there. We have been researching on this in 2019 as well, but because of the pandemic, the acceptance has accelerated. Okay, now we can discuss what are the ways how to go about it, whether it's a complete solution or not, or what steps should be taken to achieve a total passwordless. Is it even possible, right? So all those are the points that we can definitely discuss. But yeah, the remote working or the pandemic situation, it has been instrumental in pushing us towards passwordless authentication, which otherwise we were reluctant to do.
Very interesting. Vijay, by the way, I'll request you to be just ready with the poll. Just give me a few seconds. But yes, Ajit, I think, like you said, the pandemic era has actually pushed the acceptance and accelerated the adoption of passwordless era. And there have been some very serious and important reasons behind it, because like you said, that business impact in terms of the increased in, the hikes in the social engineering attacks, or the users feeling much more alienated than before, because of working in the siloed environment, like even Manoj highlighted few seconds before. And, of course, the support calls. This is the time I think the enterprises themselves had a nightmare in itself. So, with this, we come to the opinion poll, and we've heard what Manoj and Ajit feels, but we also would love to hear what our audience feels about this. So, yes, exactly how much is it going to be passwordless is a question which we'll cover up next. But we are accepting that we are entering the passwordless authentication as a technology and as an era. So, what do you think is the reason behind it? I would also love to hear the opinions verbally, or maybe you can put it also on the poll. What do you think? What are the key drivers for adopting passwordless authentication? Is it because of the social engineering attacks and passwords becoming the front door today, biggest vulnerability? Or do you think it is because for the user friction to reduce that so that we do not feel out of system anymore? This could help us much more. Or maybe it could also help us much more with reducing the cost, with the business impact in terms of the support issues. And if you feel this all could be the reason, you can also go with the fourth one. So let us start the opinion poll now, and let's hear, the opinions from our audience as well.
Harsh, if I may add something in the meantime.
Yes, Manoj.
Yeah.
Can you just repeat? Yes, please.
I'm saying if I may just kind of add something here to add a bit of more weight that how much this support is actually kind of is being overutilized for this password related issues. So in the pandemic, last 2 years, Gartner has done a survey and they have published a report saying more than 40% of help desk ticket is only about password reset. Think of it. And on an average, globally, like big giants, they spend almost $1 million annually to run their help desk center. And if by adopting, let's say, passwordless or maybe zero trust, whatever, if we're able to reduce these to, let's say, 10%, think of the ROI. Think of the revenue that we're going to see.
I think that
so
is
we have came across some studies which tells that each password reset costs companies around $70. So every time you are calling a support desk to reset your password, it's a $70 bill for your company.
Absolutely.
I think that definitely is an eye opener for a lot of us. $70 for each support ticket raised. 40% of the the $1 million help desk which is set up goes into the password reset. So I think this is definitely one of those core issues, and I think this session definitely will be helpful that way. Vijay, I think there's some issue. You'll have to restart the poll again.
Yeah, just
Yes.
see if this is visible.
I think it's visible to all the poll now, right? Manoj, Ajit, can you just confirm and validate on that?
Yeah, we can see the. Yeah, we are also seeing the values coming in. Yeah.
Great. So I think Manoj and Ajit did help us with some important facts to go ahead. But let us also hear the views from all of you. Let us take more answers on what do you think are the key drivers for adopting passwordless authentication. Let us just wait for maybe 30 more seconds, Vijaya. 50% only has participated till now. We would love to hear more views.
Yeah, 9 more to go.
Interesting. Twenty more seconds.
So I'm not able to poll
So
for
let me see.
participating
I
in this
think
poll.
till now 74% of the ones. Sorry. Anything to add? Okay.
Yeah.
So
So the 6 people remaining are us.
no, it's including us. I and the co-host cannot participate.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, no worries. I think it's already 1 minute 40 seconds. We can end the poll and share the results.
Result is visible to you.
I can only see the result, but I can't vote.
Yes, because we have just ended the poll
That also.
now. No worries.
It was
What we
fastest,
can see is
fastest.
that major of the audience fastest finger first, right? So anyways, I think most of us do resonate that these are multiple areas because of which you talk from the vulnerability angle, from the user angle, or from the support cost. And I think we had some startling facts to support that as well, stating the importance of passwordless authentication and why go ahead with this. But then comes the next important part, and that is, in case we are definitely going ahead with passwordless authentication, what are those challenges, that queries or concerns that we need to address, that we need to share it, discuss with our senior management or with our users or around us. So I think again, it's better to take Manoj's view out here. So Manoj, what do you feel about this?
Sure. I think to start with, I'll first touch on the technology aspect of it. I think we have a very diverse ecosystem from a tech landscape perspective. Some of the systems are pretty old legacy, we call them. Some of these are like kind of running on a very, very controlled environment. And when it comes to integrating everything, there are plenty of protocols, SAML, OAuth, whatnot, right? And to have the capability to integrate with everything is a challenge. That's the first challenge. That is one. B, coming to the adoption part of it, we all are human beings and we are very much comfortable with the way we have been operating or the way we have been living our lives, right? When it comes to change our standard operating style, it needs a push. It needs a dedication. It needs a commitment. It's not that easy. Be it a personal habit, be it a professional habit, when the way we work at office, right? I remember seeing such a shift when we implemented a soft token for one of the largest bank in India. There was a big push from business saying, what if I'll forget my token at home? What if I lose my token? All sorts of questions. And I was humbly requesting them. So if you'll start using it today, maybe a day you'll get used to of it. So I think the first push to accept it, that yes, we are in and we are going to do it from a cultural shift perspective, that is second thing. And often we use the top-down approach. We send, let's say, the communication, the mailer directly from our CXO's office saying, as an organization, we are committed to information security, blah, blah, blah. But we all know that back in the mind of the people, they all have that feeling that this is now going to impact my productivity. This is now going to take a lot of my time in just doing these basic things when I'll do my work. So the acceptance from people is the second challenge, right? The third thing that comes into picture is industries which are like bound to regulatory requirements, which are bound to, let's say, compliances. Change in the architecture, change in the way the technology landscape works, need a lot of backend changes as well. So it basically cascades to our tech, infra, IT, everywhere. And again, convincing all of them that one change in, let's say, a technology which is going to add a bit of security is going to add, let's say, delta dollar to your databases, delta dollar to your servers, delta dollar to the rest of the stuff, is a pain point. So managing everyone or bringing everyone on same page, that is, yes, we're together at an org, at a company, convincing the people that let's adopt it. Let's do it because this is for us. This is not a bottleneck. This is not there to kind of make your life difficult. That is the second piece. And the third, definitely from all the OEMs, like Ajit can talk probably better, that it's a nightmare for any solution to seamlessly integrate with everything and anything, and then to convince CISO or a head of InfoSec like us, saying, Manoj, okay, this is a 6 months journey. We'll start with your this system, then we'll go to that system, because we know that this will further cascade to our team saying, I cannot have 5 different ways to log into my system. So I think these are some of the key challenges as a I would say influencer or implementation of these kind of technologies I have been facing across my life. Ajit, over to you. What it takes from an OEM hat perspective.
So yeah, all of those challenges which you have said are very, very valid, and this is something which we face day in, day out, right? Um, so we want to build a solution which is easily adoptable by any companies. So that's the reason we provide SAML-based integration. If all your applications support SAML, then you can easily connect. You don't have to do anything. Okay, it's totally effortless, right? And there is no friction at all, right? But then the question arises that I have so many legacy systems, which again you mentioned, that they don't support SAML, right? So what solution do you provide? Then we said we don't touch them. So if they are on internet and they are facing internet and those are cloud applications or SaaS applications, then they do support SAML. Okay, and the applications which don't support SAML, they are the ones which are sitting in your premise and they are guarded by your firewalls. So you don't need this kind of high level protection for them, right? So then the customer starts focusing on the three different things we don't support because they don't have SAML. And they totally ignore the 100 different things that we can protect and make them passwordless, right? So that's the bottleneck. And yeah, again, people do have this in mind that there are no passwords, there is no second factor, there is no third factor, then is it secure? Right? And if I'm using my phone to authenticate, what happens if my phone is not with me or someone hacks my phone? Okay, people get into all these questions, but then we have to educate them. We have to tell them that yeah, it's not that simple. Okay, and this solution is to simplify your life and not to overwhelm you. Yes, so we have to go through that journey very, very constantly.
Ajit, let's also take up these queries, by addressing it in action. Why don't you also, show us the demo? Some of us are really excited to actually experience it and, also address a lot of our use cases. While we already had few questions, during the registration in terms of what Manoj also shared, work from home, zero trust, and data privacy. But yeah, we can also have few more use cases coming up. So why don't you now put your, kind of the hat of playing in the action itself?
Sure. So I will show you how our passwordless solution work. Okay, so there are so many different solutions out there, right? I will show you how we have conceptualize it and how we are giving it to our customers. Okay, so typically if you log into your emails, okay, because those are the most sensitive assets of your company, your email accounts, right? And from here you can manipulate anyone by sending a legit email from a legit account, right? So let me show you the journey when user initiates an authentication. Okay, typically what happens is a user when tries to sign in, he is sent to another page where he has to put passwords, right? And passwords are shareable. So I'm giving out my password, right? So just have this in mind. Passwords are shareable attributes. So I can share it on this side, in this site. I can share it with my friend. I can share it with you, and you can log in behalf of me, right? Or I can share it with a fisher, okay, or an adversary unknowingly, or maybe I'm tricked to do that, and then he can use those credentials, right? So what we wanted to have in our design is no shareable credentials. Even the OTPs that you receive, those are shareable credentials, okay? And even the token that you put, whatever is generated dynamically on your phone, when you put it on a page, right? Again, that is a shareable. You can put it on a wrong page, right? So that's the reason we thought we will eliminate the shareable things. Okay, so how the flow is designed is whenever you give your corporate email ID, we have done a SAML integration. So because of that, the authentication is federated to our PureAuth service. So PureAuth is a single sign-on service. So user is redirected here. Now you have two choices here. Either you can scan this QR or you can invoke this app. Okay, so how user authenticates in our system is using the authenticator apps that you have. Okay, I guess you are able to see my screen.
Yes, Ajit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we have our authenticator app. It is called as VR5, okay, or Auth Verify. So this is my desktop-based app. You can put it on your desktop, or if you want, you can have it on your phone as well. So this is my phone, which I'm mirroring here. Okay, so I can use any of these. Okay, so I will quickly show you the flow from my phone. Okay, so here I have the Auth Verify app. Okay, so here I go. Here I have something called as profile. That is my registration. Okay, so I have the option to say Swift login and scan the QR. I simply scan the QR. Okay, and my profile is unlocked. Okay, so without my profile is locked. Without unlocking it, I cannot proceed. Okay, so I have to give a pin to unlock it. Okay, so what happens is when I give my pin, the pin is combined with the hardware ID of this device, and a key is generated to decrypt the all factors which are necessary to authenticate me. So now when I say authenticate, it sends the necessary factors to the server, and in the background you can see that I'm authenticated. Right? So user is not putting anything on the site. Okay, so there are no shareable attributes. So again, if you can see in this flow, I cannot give out anything to anyone to authenticate behalf of me. Right? So it totally eliminates the phishing attack. Okay, or even it eliminates the attack surface where you can enter the password and you can try to brute force, or you can try to do some injections into the database. Okay, so all those surfaces are totally removed. Okay, so this is how we provide the passwordless authentication without any shareable attributes. Okay, any questions here? So I can show you how we authenticate from the desktop based app as well. Okay, so let me log out and log in again. So office.com, I initiate the authentication. So this time let's assume I don't have my phone with me. Okay, so I take this option, so which reads click here if this device has auth verify installed. So I have this installed here. You can see this is the app, okay, which already has a profile for ML. Okay, so now let me click here. I will show you what happens. So when I double click it, it will invoke the app and it will ask me to give the credentials of this ML profile. Okay. Give me a second. Yeah, so it asked me to, sorry, this is the SP profile on my phone. Sorry, on the laptop based app. So I say authenticate and it will send the necessary factors. Okay, and I got authenticated. I didn't have to take my phone and scan the QR. Okay, so authentication becomes very, very simple. You have to just simply double click the button, unlock your app, and that's it. You're done. Right? Question, gentlemen?
Oh, very simple and effective. It's visible. Just add-on questions, because here device is common, okay, and predefined. There are scenarios where we have to be using device which are not defined. Okay, so in that case, how this password is.
So Vijay, your voice was very feeble. I was not able to hear you. Can you just repeat it?
Am I audible? Ajit?
Yeah.
Okay, what I'm saying here, device is key factor. If I have to log in through an undefined device in terms of some crisis situation, how this passwordless will work and what can be the problem?
Okay, so so typically we allow users to make their profile on their phone, and using phone they can log in from any device. Okay, and one you can create on your work machine, that is your official laptop or your desktop, right? So whenever you don't have your phone with you, you can use the app on your work machine, and if you want to log in onto any other device, you can use your phone. Okay. So that's how it is. Now, if you want to create your profile on any other device, it's simple. You go to the new device, install the app, and just create your profile and start using it. Okay. So when we proceed ahead in the discussion, I can show you how simple it is to create your profile and start using it.
So, Ajit, can you help me? When we go to our senior management, there would be a couple of queries. Some of them may be cyber savvy, some of them may not be. Of course, there's a diverse profiles there also. What are those critical use cases, or how do we actually build up a case in front of senior management for a technology like this? What do you think should be those keywords that we should definitely mention to them that hits well? Right, Manoj?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there are a lot of issues. So the whatever your survey showed, right? Typically the vulnerabilities, right? Now we have seen all the enterprises, they allow remote working or a remote workforce to access their enterprise through VPNs, and we have seen so many issues in VPN credentials. Okay, VPN credentials being bypassed, credentials being hard coded, or they fail unsafe. It means if you give some magic words, then those VPNs will allow you to get in. Okay, they will fail, but they will allow you to get in. Okay, many VPNs, they did had default credentials like Cisco, etc. Right? People could abuse that and get in. Right? So the simple thing is, if you can disable all credential-based login, and if you can enable just passwordless authentication to your VPNs, most of your attack surface is totally addressed over there. Right? So vulnerability is one. User friction, you have seen that you don't have to remember passwords. Just by simple gesture, you could log in. Okay, so that makes users journey into daily authentication very simple. Okay, and the other things, it definitely brings down the support cost, because as I told you, you can move from one device to another device just by adding our app on the new device and creating your profile and start using it. You don't need any support desk, or you don't have to need any admin assistance to create your profile, which I can demonstrate whenever you want. Okay, so it definitely brings down the support cost, etc. Right? Yeah. So all the points that you have mentioned, they themselves becomes the selling points for us, or the compelling reasons why you should be going passwordless. Right? Over to you.
I think, yes, Manoj, please.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have one
Manoj.
question, Ajit. While I have not seen how easy or what all questions are being asked while creating a profile, but I was just thinking from a devil's hat, what if, let's say, attacker will try to kind of create a profile on my behalf on his or her phone, right?
Yeah. That is very possible. Okay. So let's try to understand how we have designed our solution. Okay.
Right.
Let me know if you are able to see my screen. I'm sharing my screen again.
Can see.
Is it visible?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure.
Ajit,
So
Amit
yeah.
here. Does this work on the application level, or it can be encoded on the hardware devices also?
Yes, we can put it on hardware devices as well. I will show you that. Okay, in a bit. Okay, but mostly whatever use cases I'm showing here, it is at application level.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so what we have been seeing in the industry is all the authentication mechanism works in just one way. They do match. Okay, they either match a string, okay, or they do match your fingerprints, or they do match a dynamic hash of dynamic content. Okay, so it's always the string match. Okay, so any system will take the string which is sent from the user side. It will match with something either that is stored in database, or it is derived from something which is stored in the database. Okay, now the database itself is a vault which has the sensitive information. If that leaks, then you are in trouble. Okay, or the admin who has access to that data store, which has either the passwords or the seeds to authenticate you. Okay, if he is strict, then that is open and exposed to all. Okay, so we wanted to design an authentication mechanism which is resistant or resilient to all such attacks. Okay, so how we designed it? So we knew that simple string matching will not work over here. Okay, we have to invent something better. Okay, so what we have invented is this. So we wanted to leverage the proof of association. So what is proof of association? So whenever a person joins a company creates a record of that person in their database. Okay, and that record is simple record which comprises of user's name, email ID, phone number, maybe employee ID, etc. So for every user, you create this record in your data store. Okay, now we provide our customers with a simple module called PureSync, which will do one thing. It will generate a public private key for you. So private key remains with the company, public key is registered with our platform. Okay. So once this trust is established, then you can tune this module PureSync to extract users information from your data store. So PureSync will typically extract users basic record and it will hash it. Okay. Now hash of that information is signed with private key, and what you get is a digital signature. So this is a digital signature of a user's record, simple record. Okay. And this signature is pushed on a server. Okay. Now we don't have any sensitive information. If you look any other system, they will take users all the data, name, email ID, etc., and they will also take the passwords, etc., and they will maintain it here. Okay. So the third party authenticators, they will have users actual information and the password and the sensitive factors, but we just have signatures here. Okay. Now PureSync will also know wherever there is a separation of a user, it can detect that user has been separated or the employee has been marked as a separated one. Okay. So as soon as it detects, it will send a trigger to our server to revoke the signatures. Okay. So PureSync maintains a sync. Whenever new user is added, signatures are pushed. Whenever user is separated, signatures are removed. Okay. So this is the part which becomes automatic. Once you set it, that's it. You don't have to do anything. Okay. Any questions here before I move further?
So Ajit, just help us through the walkthrough of the workflow and architecture. We can take a few questions here in terms of the proof of association on how this is exactly working.
Yeah, so PureAuth is our server, which is in cloud. This is the side across the red line. This is the organization side. So organization maintains records in some data store. It can be AD, HRMS, or any database. So PureSync is what we provide. You can install it anywhere. Okay, it's totally in your control. Okay, so on the organization front, customer has to do this, and these signatures are pushed on our cloud-based server, that is PureAuth. So this is where the authentication happens. Okay, and we just have company's public key and the signature. Now, good thing is if we get hacked and we leak all the signatures, you don't have to worry about, because you don't know whose signature is this. Right. I will pause here for a moment. If you have any questions, I will take that.
So, Vikas, would you like to, ask the question yourself, or if you want, I can also read out for you. No worries. So, Vikas has a question. Ajit, is this, the whole process something like a asymmetric cryptography?
Yes. So when I say private and public key, so this part is asymmetric. Okay.
Okay. So I think the team is well in line with what you're explaining. That's
yeah,
the
so
reason
just
there are no doubts.
Promote all participants, they can put their questions in chat box, or they can
yeah, someone has to read it out, because I'm focusing on the slides.
Yeah, we will definitely.
Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to have, because Manoj also touch upon regulatory piece. Okay, so data security part you have highlighted, but how and where our regulatory bodies are on this kind of digital signature, how they will be able to authenticate. And second, just to add, maker checker will be able to achieve with this, because single users is big need.
So your voice is fading out. I'm not able to hear you properly.
Hello, what I'm saying, is this legal or accepted by regulatory, this kind of authentication, passwordless authentication? And just to add, maker checker will be able to achieve with this.
Okay, so I am not aware of any regulatory framework which prohibits this kind of authentication scheme, because many fintech, edutech, and healthcare companies are already using our product. Okay, and including military establishments. So that is one. And where do you see the need for maker and checker? I would love to know that.
Two persons log in into same application, then only authentication is being.
So that part we are yet to come. Okay, we are just talking about the background. Okay, how the system or how the solution is built up from the ground. Okay. So authentication part we are yet to come there.
Ajit, I have a question. Maybe I'm not sure if you're going to cover it in the next slides. How how we are going to manage the user onboarding, offboarding workflow. Like if you see, there are multiple solutions who are providing now, let's say, a very seamless option to kind of user onboarding, creating a user password, seamless, do SSO, all that stuff. Typical Active Directory or maybe other directory services thing, right?
Correct.
So how do that kind of compares with this, or maybe this is a subset of that? Maybe some sort of light on that.
Yeah. So user provisioning to the applications, etc. We are just keeping out of scope now, okay? Because that is altogether a different thing. Okay. Here we are just focusing on the authentication flow, how the user is authenticated. Okay. So for that, usually what happens is your single sign-on system will have the user's name or their identifier and their password stored. So whenever user tries to authenticate, user gives his credentials to your SSO server. SSO verifies and gives the access to the application. Okay. In our case, we don't have the credentials. So how we are authenticating? Let's discuss that, and maybe we can come to the onboarding part. Is that okay?
Sure, definitely. Yeah, thanks.
Ajit, I'll just add on over here. By keeping it, of course, vendor neutral, we would also have a answer to this question from Rakesh. You can share some BFSI customers who are already using passwordless authentication, maybe yours or maybe even the competition, if that's okay to add. Maybe you can also cover that in between.
Sure, definitely. So after going through the entire process flow, at the end, I can show you the clientele. Okay. Or maybe separately, I can share it with the interested parties. Fine.
Sure.
Okay. So now the enterprise part is done. Okay. This is how the enterprise interacts with our system. They just have to push the signatures on a platform. Okay. So now let's start with the user journey. So whenever user joins a company, the first thing he has to do is install our app on his or her device. Okay. You can install it on your phone or on your laptop. Okay, it's your choice, or whatever your company suggests. Okay. Now, first thing you have to do is when you install the app, you have to enroll yourself. Okay. So for that, you have to fill your basic information and send it to our server. Okay. It's the same information which your company has signed and created digital signature of it. Okay, and pushed it on a server. Okay. So let me show you that. So this is my phone. Okay. You can see my phone here. Okay. This is the app. Auth verify. Okay, so you can see it here. So here I already have my profile, ML profile created. Okay, so let me remove this profile. Okay, so that we don't have anything here. Okay, it is like a blank app. Okay, this is exactly how it looks when you install it from the App Store. It doesn't have any information. Okay, let's assume I take a fresh device and install this app on it, and now let me create my profile. Okay, so there is this option, add profile manually. So let me add it by hand. Okay, I know my name, so I can put my name. I know my personal email ID. I can put my email ID. Okay, I can put my corporate email ID. This is the ID given by my company, and my phone number, and my organization ID. Okay. Now, as you asked, what if someone else tries to create profile on behalf of me? Yes, that is very much possible. You can create profile on behalf of me. Okay, so this is my information. Okay, you too can start creating the profile now along with me. Okay, so if I give the wrong information and submit it, obviously it will not match with the signature. Okay, because for signature you have to have the exact information. Even if there is a bits and bytes difference, it will not match the digital signature. Now, when I give the exact information, it will match with the signature. Now our server knows that, yes, this information is right, and we have a matching signature. Now our server would like to give out this signature to you. Okay, but before that, it wants to verify you, because anyone can try to create my profile, right? So we want to verify that user. So how we verify? Okay, so here's my phone. Yeah. So once I send it, okay, you have given your email ID and your phone number. It will try to send codes to those two factors to verify whether you are the right person or not. Okay, so I have submitted. Now the data was verified against the signature. Now it has sent me a verification. You can see the one verification code I have already received. Okay, so what our system does is it sends you 3 different codes. Okay, one is sent to directly this device, which is already filled here along with the device hardware ID. Okay, so this is already filled. You don't even get to see this. Okay, next is sent over your phone to your phone over SMS. Okay, which we just received. Let me copy paste it. Okay, I copy the SMS here and I go here and I paste it. Okay, then the email code. So let me get the email code. Okay, so here I should get it on my personal email. Okay, so why personal email? Because in many companies, administrator have access to users' corporate email. Okay, so we want to eliminate that possibilities where admin can have access to your codes. Okay, so that's the reason we send it on personal email. Okay, so I have copied it. Let me paste it here. Okay, so now I have all the codes put here. Okay, I have not submitted it yet. Okay, so now when I submit this, so this becomes a shared secret between my device and our server. Okay, so all these three codes, they are concatenated and saved as a seed on my device and also on the server. Okay, so I send it. Now server has established a seed, a shared secret between my device and the server. So this is the seed associated with my signature and the signature is pushed on my device. Okay. Now at this stage, I have received my signature, which I have proven that I am the right owner of this user. I have claimed it and I have received it. Now our app will ask you to save this securely. Okay. So let me give it a name. Okay. Cyber. Let me give it a name, CyberGurukul, okay, because it is a cool platform. Okay. Now user can choose any pin. Okay. Now I haven't saved it yet. So you can see my device has the basic information which I have entered. It has just procured the signature and it has got the seed as well from 3 different channels. Now all these factors are used to authenticate me every time I try to access any application. Okay. Now these have to be securely stored on the device. So you cannot store it in plain text. You have to encrypt and store it. Okay. So how we encrypt it? We ask user to choose a pin. So that pin is combined with hardware ID of my phone. Okay. And we combine them together to generate a symmetric key, and that symmetric key is used to encrypt all this data. So in this way, we don't have to save the key. Okay. Whenever you want to decrypt that data, we will ask user to give the pin, dynamically generate the hardware ID of the device, combine it, generate the key, and decrypt it. If user gives the right pin, we can decrypt the data successfully. Otherwise, we will not be able to. Okay. So let me save it. So you can see that my data is encrypted and it is stored. Okay. So now my profile CyberGurukul is ready. Now let me check it, okay, whether it works or not. Any questions so far? Okay, so just to sum up, I created my profile without any help of my support desk or admin intervention. I just gave my credentials, got verification codes, submitted them, and created my profile successfully. Okay, now let me initiate a sign in. Okay, so when I initiate a sign in, what happens is a socket connection is created between my browser and the Microsoft server. Okay, and that socket connection has an identity. Okay, that this pair, okay, or this tuple of IP socket has another pair on the Microsoft's IP and socket. Okay, this connection has an identity. Okay, and this is the corresponding identity of that socket connection. Okay, so now this session has this ID, okay, which is embedded into the QR code. Now when I will scan this, I initiate authentication, I say save login and scan the QR. So when I scan it, my phone gets that I'm trying to authenticate into Office 365 and using or on this session ID. Okay, so now when I give my PIN, okay, and I say authenticate, it will decrypt my data and it will send these factors. Okay, it will send my data, my user details as is. It will send my digital signature and it will hash the session ID, my device ID, okay, and this seed along with the timestamp and generate this token. Okay, and this data is sent to our server. Now server will first verify whether the user has the signature or not. If the signature is removed, when I got separated from the company, signature is removed. Okay, if the signature is revoked or removed, user is not part of the company, so authentication will not proceed. Okay, if user is still part of the company, we will have the signature, then we will verify this data against the signature. Okay, if this verification is successful, then we try to generate a similar token. How we do that? We hash the seed with the session ID. Okay, and the device fingerprint that we have learned, okay, and the current timestamp. Okay, when we hash all these three things together, we should get the same token. Okay, if we get the same token, it means this request is coming from the right user for the right purpose, that is for the right session. Okay, and then we verify the user and we sign a SAML response to Office 365 saying this is the right user, you should give him the access. Okay, so now let me complete the authentication flow. So I have given my PIN. Okay, let me have this in background. Okay, I have given my PIN, I just submit it. It will decrypt my factors, send it to the server. Server will verify and tell the office to give my accounts access. And you can see that I have got it. Okay, so within a minute, I can create my profile and start using it from the new device. Okay, I don't need anyone's help. I just have to be the right user. That's it. Okay, totally safe, totally frictionless. Okay, and no support involved. Any questions here?
Ajit, not from this perspective. I have a question slightly, I mean, on the other side of story. When it comes to, let's say, incident response, or let's say when we're investigating the case of, let's say, compromised credential or whatever, right? When a user claims that I was not the one who was authenticated, right? Since here we are allowing this app on multiple devices, it may be possible, let's say I have on my phone as well as my iPad, right? And I claim saying my phone was stolen, I lost my phone somewhere, and I have not authenticated, I have not done that action. In conventional manner, what we in the typical password era, what we do is when from a SOC perspective, we go and validate the IP address from where the authentication request came and all that stuff, right? Here, since we are talking about digital signature token and all, is it possible to validate or to establish a kind of artifact saying that this token has come from Manoj's iPhone or from his iPad or from his app installed on the laptop?
Correct. So we allow one device, one mobile device and one work machine. Okay. Now, the moment you create another profile on another phone-like device, your previous phone device will be phone app on the phone device will be disabled.
Okay.
Okay. So at the time you can create it only on one device. Okay. And you saw we remembered the device fingerprints. Okay. So the request has to come from the same device. If it comes from the another device, we don't honor that request.
So let me tweak my question. Let's say, for example, I have an app on my phone, I have an app on my laptop. I lost my phone, right?
Yes. Yes.
And somehow attacker got access of my mobile phone.
Sure.
In that scenario, from a log perspective or from an investigation perspective, will the incident response team be able to identify that which device was used to authenticate into my email address?
Correct. So if it is your device, it's your device. Only your device can be used to authenticate. No other device can be unless you create your profile on another device.
But it wasn't me scenario, Ajit. If I guess that is the Manoj point, that I was not using it is my claim, and Manoj has to investigate how this passwordless certificate would be able to investigate forensic.
Correct. Yeah. So first thing, no one else can authenticate without this device. Either Manoj or someone else with this device can authenticate. Okay. So only this device can authenticate. Okay. That's established. Now, this device. Okay. So when you install this app, it checks whether this device has a lock or not. Okay. This has a lock. Okay. Without lock, it will not install it. It will force you to install have a lock first. That is first thing. Okay. Second thing, it is same. It has same security features that you have for any payment app that you have. Okay. It will make sure that your phone has a lock and it will ensure its own lock, that is PIN. Okay. We enforce PIN. We don't enforce biometrics, because if your phone has fingerprint stored for your family members, they can easily access your phone and unlock it. Okay. And we don't use that. We enforce PIN. Okay. Now, if you give the PIN 3 times wrong, the profile will delete itself. It will not even warn you. It will simply delete the profile. Okay. So it comes with the anti-hammering technology, which doesn't allow someone to brute force and guess the PIN. Okay. It straight away deletes the profile. That's the reasonable security which all the payment applications provide you. And we are same. Okay. Any questions here?
let me ask the same question slightly differently. Okay. In the log, do we store the device ID, MAC ID, or some sort of attribute which can help me establish the authentication has come from which device, whether the authentication has happened from the laptop or from the handphone?
So yeah, that's what I said, right? So every time you try to authenticate, okay, this token is generated with the hash of your device ID.
Right.
Okay, so when we receive it, we have just two seeds. Okay, one was for your phone like device and one was for your desktop app. Okay, so we generate the token for both of the seeds. Okay, and one of them has to match. So whichever match, we know that this is the device which was used.
Okay, so then can we validate saying seed 1, seed 2 hypothetically, that we have two seeds for each user, seed 1, seed 2, and there is some way to establish a relationship saying seed 1 belongs to phone, seed 2 belongs to desktop. Can we establish a relation saying the authentication has come from seed 1 or seed 2?
Yes. So that is every time done, right? Because we just get a token. We don't know which device it is coming from. We generate similar token from both the seeds. Okay, and we know that this seed 1 is for your mobile like device and seed 2 is for your desktop or work machine kind of device.
Got it. I think if that's there, then probably we are safe.
So that is the basic premise, right? I mean, then we will not know how to authenticate you.
Got it.
And whenever you create a new profile, we need to know which one has to check off, right? Which seed has to be refreshed.
Got it.
So if it is a new phone, then yeah, we just remove your phone-based seed. Okay. When it is a laptop-based app, we disable or we regenerate your seed for desktop-based app. Right.
Oh, thanks. That helps. Yeah.
Is that clear?
Yep.
I think,
Okay.
passwordless authentication is such a interesting and absorbing discussion. And Ajit, with, of course, well supported and helped by Manoj, has actually helped us go through the whole workflow and architecture of passwordless authentication in a safe, frictionless way. That definitely helps. And I think one thing that I will definitely understand it definitely works very much like a payment application. So, that is how we can address this application also, I think, can also reduce little reservations that someone may have trying to understand how a technology like this works. Definitely, I do not want to end this session and, we should definitely go on, but then I think it's time to actually sum up and maybe we can also continue this discussion offline. So,
sure. So let me just tell you, if you think that your phone is not with you and you want to momentarily disable your authentication from smartphone, you can simply do this. Okay. This is to give you more comfort. Okay. Now authentication from my phones are disabled. So this I have done from my desktop app.
That's very interesting. A few click registration, authentication, and of course, coming out of it. So
yes. Sorry to break your flow, Harsh. Go on.
Yes, definitely. No, in fact, I was going to request you, Ajit, and Manoj to also, sum up. I think it's a very interesting discussion that we had. And of course, going passwordless will be a step-by-step journey. But I think we had a couple of discussions around balancing, like we say, the user security, productivity, and experience, and much more. Ajit, your final words before we, kind of wrap up the session.
Final words, go passwordless. Thank you.
Amazing, go passwordless. Yes, Manoj.
I think we all now understand the importance of password, right? And there is no second thought that I cannot be hacked. So we all now live with that acceptance, right? So I'm sure, I would say tech companies like Ajit's and all are there to kind of make our life easy. And so glad to see that there are initiatives which is going to not just help us from what challenges we are facing at this point in time, but they are thinking on the next stage solution. And that's the need of an hour, because on one side, attackers are thinking the next step. On the other side, I'm glad that OEMs are thinking on the next sides too. Second, thank to Harsh, you and all the communities like CG, that because of all these kind of conversation, people are much more aware and kind of educated to see that A, threat lies, and B, solution also lies to kind of counter that. So thank you so much, Harsh. And really, this was a great session. Thank you so much, Ajit, for answering all my questions with so much of patience. And thank you so much to all the participants for being a wonderful audience.
I think Manoj well said. Yes, by the way, we are definitely privileged to be, part of this journey through the Cyber Gurukul or the modern Gurukul, where we all want to, actually help each other, enable, engage, empower, and, have these series of learnings and enablement in terms of the cybersecurity. And I think well said as well that, it's time we accept that we are going to be hacked, and let us focus more on the solution part, which definitely lies, and go passwordless is the key, definitely, like Ajit also mentioned. So before we end up, I think Shashank has also, kind of been very instrumental in this, arranging this session, bringing Manoj for us. Shashank, would you also, kind of sum up before we take Vijay and Satish?
Sure. I mean, yeah, this was really interesting. And, I joined in late, but so the moment I joined in till now, I was all, I'm mesmerized with what the challenges are being put through by Manoj, and even how Ajit was explaining the entire workflow. And I mean, obviously it was mind-boggling, obviously. And as I said, credentials have the highest hacking incentive, as I keep it. And if we steal the hackers' prime target, we don't give them passwords, that altogether changes the entire landscape, because then there are no more passwords left for hackers to really hunt for. So then, that will decrease the incentive of the entire system. And that is how I think through. And obviously passwordless is the key. And, thanks Manoj and thanks Ajit for a wonderful discussion on this weekend. Yeah, thank you.
Great, Shashank. In fact, you also hit the nail. Yes, hackers do love passwords. So I think that is definitely one key area to work upon. Vijaya, Satish, quickly let's sum up and, then.
Yeah, passwordless is not that. Passwordless is not that complex and it's secure. So Ajit, thank you very much for taking us through, and live demo cleared some doubts in our mind. We will really see some real life cases. We're looking forward to travel you more. And thank you, Manoj, to counter questions to make this session more meaningful. Thank you.
I think, yes, Manoj and Ajit did have a great partnership today in understanding both sides of the coin of, the challenges in adopting passwordless authentication. Yes, Ajit, so before going to Satish, I think you want to add.
Thank you, Vijay. Sorry for taking more time than allotted. And thanks, Manoj, for bringing the best out of the solution by asking the questions.
So, Ajit, let me tell you, we are always guilty of, overshooting the time, but we do not actually regret it, because that's how the best comes up, right? So happy to have that. Satish, final words before we actually.
Yeah, I think this was, I heard Ajit earlier also. I think while discussing, I told you about the no password seminar. Okay, this is an interesting concept, but I think convincing management who are very keen on putting up so many passwords, security risks, is going to be tough. But I think with that time, the mind will also change. We change from work from office to work from home, hybrid environment. I think similarly, we'll come out with the no password session also with the time.
Right, yeah, we hope for that, and keeping the fingers crossed.
Go passwordless. Thank you so much, and happy to have all of you, and we'll definitely again connect back next month with another interesting topic and this engaging session like we always have. Thank you so much, Manoj, Ajit, and all the members for joining us today. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Take